Similarly, Abia State Independent Electoral Commission has presented certificates of return to the people declared winners of the November 2nd local government election in the state. Now, the chairman of the commission, Professor Chima, on Saturday night declared 17 people from the Zenith Labour Party and Young Progressive Party winners of the election. He told the chairman elect that the only document which qualifies them for inauguration is the certificate of return. Mayor-elect for Isuikwuato local government area, Chinedu Ekeke, says he will ensure that his area is lifted out of poverty this time. Now, moving forward to discuss this, we're joined by John Igbojionu. He's the Secretary Labour Party, Abia. Hello, Honorable John. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, please go ahead and tell us, John, what factors do you believe contributed to the Labour Party's loss in the recent local government elections, considering the party's performance in previous elections?
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me very clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You use the word Labour Party. Okay, to make it clear, point of correction, there was no context whatsoever. And Labour Party did not lose an election that never existed in the first place. You see, what happened in Abia State?
So you're saying there was no election in Abia State? There are no local government elections?
No, there was no election. There was no election. What happened that day was already a premeditated act that was already, even before the day of the election, it was known to everyone that, look, this individual have been selected to be announced leaders. And in addition to the white people, we already aware of what was going to happen. What happened was only a replica of what has been happening across the states in Nigeria. And it's quite a sad day for democracy in our country because it's something that we all have, we have degenerated to another low in democracy. So if you are abreast with the response of the people, of course we had a very voters apathy amongst other things. And then how can you call something a context where in virtually all the whole local government materials did not arrive in some polling units, and even at the sole locations where it appeared, there were no result sheets. Now, that same day, we have some wards and polling units we are still collating results. People are announcing that some individuals have been declared winner. It's quite unfortunate that we have come this low in the country, and I look at it. It's even more unfortunate it's happening in Abia State. Because we were thinking we have moved, we have had a departure from what it used to be to what we are experiencing. So it's unfortunate it's happening in the state where Dr. Alex Oti is the governor of the state. And I feel that some people have gathered to give him a bad name. Because if what we experienced in Abia State on the 2nd of November is anything to go by, then we are even in a worse situation.
Well, some people or some quarters seem to believe that, the reason why Labour Party did not win or lost is due to internal conflict within the party, especially looking at the different factions, and particularly regarding the nation's or the national chairman's tenure affected the party's performance in the elections, and that was the reason why, there was a loss.
No. There is no faction in Labour Party. We have a clear-cut direction, a clear-cut leadership direction in Labour Party, and which was affirmed by the Federal High Court in Abuja and also the Appeal Court in Benin. So we have a clear-cut direction led by Barrister Julius Abure. So whoever is saying there's a faction or there's a leadership crisis in Labour Party is only playing to the gallery. There is no such thing. What happened in Abia State on the 2nd of November is a clear cut of deprivation of the people of the right to choose their leadership. So we never had any such thing as that. Not even one local government do we have a collation of results. No result was counted. These results have been written before now. So anybody coming to tell you us here, before now we had, people saying, of course, what happened in Rivers State and other states, they perceive the local government election as a governor's or the government's thing. And you see, we need to depart from this level of, of electoral malpractices. And it's quite unfortunate that it's happening in Abia State. So what we have experienced, there was no election. There was no election. What we had there was a charade where you have people coming in to make it a resemblance of as though there was an election. Was there a result sheet? There were no result sheets. Was there a collation of the result across the wards, across the polling units? There was no such thing. So anybody coming now to say that this whole thing had been prepared. If you look, if you had followed the proceedings before this November 2nd election, so-called election, we had raised concerns about the rumors making round, and this is exactly what has played out. So let them show us where are the materials they use in making the election. People have some of the few polling units that the election took place. People took snapshot of it. So of course, Bivas was not involved in this election. It was just a mere analog kind of engagement. So there was no such thing as an election. Where was the collation? Where did it take place? So what we have was totally an aberration of the Electoral Act 2022. So Abians all are aware. If you go across the local government, you will see the agitations. The fact that in some local government already there are protests, there are things ongoing because the people are not happy.
All right, John. So I was actually going to ask, what will be the party's next strategy, or how will the party reassess its campaign strategy and tactics, following the loss, and what changes might be expected. But then, since you say that there is no election,
are you referring to our next
yes, well, since you have actually said that no election was. Again? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
I said I was going to ask, what would be the...
I can hear you.
I was going to ask if the party, is willing to reassess its campaign tactics, following the loss, and willing to change some things. But since you say no election was held, in Abia State, I'm actually tempted to ask, what is your next play? What is Labour Party's next play? Has there been, complaints to INEC? What have you done? What have you done?
Now, to start with, let me use the opportunity to make this statement and make it very clear. During the build-up of the election, the Labour Party had our primaries and our list were sent to ABSIEC. And they were received and acknowledged. And then a list was published on the 25th of October. Now, I think on the 30th of October, or 31st, I think a few days before the election, that same 25th, they posted published those lists for Labour Party candidates. It was removed that same day from the board, leaving the other parties that they got a call from above that they should be removed. Now, on the 30th of October, another list were published on people that were alien to the party. ABSIEC, on their own way, went and brought out candidates that were not known to the party, and they published a new list that it is for Labour Party. So they used that to disorganize the party, and they went ahead to conduct an election in a manner that is the least standard, whatever anyone would have expected from an election. There was no such thing as an election in Abia State, no such collation of results. And we never had any experience this kind of experience. We've never had it in the state, in the history of Abia State. So whoever is saying there's an election, I'm wondering. And of course, the party had made some complaints, and we have taken some legal steps. And within a few days, we shall, respond accordingly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John, for speaking to us on this. Thank you.